Traders, Thunderbolt here, and I want to welcome you to this weekly outlook video. This is the second take of this weekly outlook. The first time I forgot to actually select a microphone, so the video has no sound. So that's the reason you see there's a lot of annotations on the chat. So I will not delete anything. I'll just go through what is on the charts to save on time. Hoping this time there's sound. So this is DXY, the usual culprit, the usual culprit that we usually start with. And that is because we are majorly looking at dollar pairs, okay, the majors, that is the dollar, EU, GU, and a bit of gold, okay. So we'll start with DXY. Also, to apologize for not being consistent with the content. A lot has been going on, but from now henceforth, you guys will see a lot of me. DXY on the weekly, this is what we had, okay. You can see we took out this low. This was very major liquidity, okay. And what I was expecting is the market to actually come back to this fair value gap, okay. So external back to internal, external again, okay. But you can see this fair value gap was actually violated, and after seeing that this fair value gap was not being able to hold price, because what we're supposed to see is when price comes into this fair value gap and builds a bit of liquidity. You can see after we took out the previous weekly high inside this fair value gap, we did not have the move down that we wanted, okay. So after this candle closed like this, I already expected that this fair value gap is actually going to fail this sell side imbalance, and we were going to actually target these highs, okay. So these were SMT highs. So initially I was expecting this high to actually be protected, but either way it's still some relative equal highs at this point, which is a good target for liquidity, okay. So that's why we took it out. So again, playing the external back to internal, and you can see we don't have any fair value gap on the weekly time frame. We could also come and retest this down closed candle at this point, okay, or this volume imbalance at this particular point. But there's nothing about this weekly candle that actually tells you anything about bearish, okay. So let's go to the daily time frame and see what the daily time frame shows us. So you can see after taking out this high over here, we actually left a fair value gap, okay. So in case the market, the dollar still wants to trade higher, this is the highest probability for value gap that I'd expect price to actually come back to, okay. There's something my mentor used to say, trading from external back to internal is always very forgiving, okay, because after taking out a high, price will always come back to a fair value gap, okay. Now, whether the fair value gap actually gets respected and we continue buys, or gets disrespected and we continue sells, is always a whole different story, okay. So this fair value gap was actually filled and respected. There's one very tiny over here, one that was also respected, and now we have this one, okay. So again, take note that this is just a consolidation, okay. So we are actually trading inside the range of Tuesday, okay. So we are trading inside the range of Tuesday, but you can see on what we had on Friday, we actually took out previous daily high Thursday inside of this range, okay. So sweeps of highs and lows, or daily highs and lows, especially inside a consolidation, don't really mean much, okay. But because we also want to trade into this fair value gap, potentially to take out this previous daily low and this extreme previous daily low into this fair value gap, this is a really nice indication of something we want to see, okay, especially after taking out liquidity. So coming into next week, I'll want to see more sells, okay. So looking at the daily at the 1 hour time frame, let's see what we have on the 1 hour. So on the hourly, this is what we have. We took out this previous hourly high, which is also a previous daily high, and we closed with a nice candle 2 closure, okay, a nice C2 closure. and there's something I always want to see, okay? And that is an ICCSD, an intracandle change in state. So I want to see the candle that actually gives me the reversal also give me the indication that the market also wants to reverse, and that is either a market structure shift or a change in state. So I usually want to see a change in state. So this becomes my order block over here. We have a very tiny fair value gap around these points, okay? So I'll just mark it. So we have a very tiny fair value gap that actually got respected, and the market actually traded lower, okay? So this looks sort of like a change in state over here. And what I'd want to see the market do, if this is actually to be respected, the market to open to trade higher, okay? So what we want to see is the market to open high, have a change in state at this point, retest that order block, and continue if you're going to trade from that point, okay? But the reason I'm not looking at this is because we always want to trade with arrays that are in either premium if you're selling or discount if you're buying, okay? So this looks higher probability. It also aligns with this, okay, with this order block over here. So this is what I want to see the market do. The market to open high, okay, give us confirmation, and probably want to see a sweep of something over here because we don't have anything on the left, we don't have any inducement, okay, and then change in state and then continue lower, okay. This doesn't have to happen in one daily candle. It can happen in a few days daily candles, but because this is counter trend so that you can move higher, it can tend to be slow, choppy, okay. So this is why you want to trade with caution, especially because we are trading counter trend, okay. So that is what we have on DXY. Let's look at GU. GU again on the weekly time frame, okay. This is what we want to see on the weekly time frame. So weekly time frame, same story. We took out this weekly high, okay, and had a really nice reaction, okay. So we had this daily fair value, weekly fair value gap over here that I was expecting to actually hold price, okay. So external back to internal range liquidity, okay. But immediately we got this candle closure. This was Monday, okay. Immediately we got this bearish candle below the fair value gap. I knew that there's a probability that it gets inversed and we come for this low, okay, which is exactly what happened. And you can see we took out this low very beautifully, okay. So again, trading the concept of external back to internal, okay, because the market at this point looks very bearish, okay. So there's nothing to indicate that the market will actually buy. We have to wait for more confirmation, all right? But if because of this candle after sweeping this low, again, it is very forgiving to trade from external back to internal, okay, because the market most times always trades back to a fair value gap. Whether that fair value gap or that internal range liquidity gets respected and holds price to continue lower or higher, or gets disrespected, is always a different story, okay. So there's not much to look at on the weekly time frame. Let's go back to the daily time frame and see what price action actually looks like, okay. So you can see this low that was actually taken out, okay. So initially, after taking out Monday's low on Tuesday and closing with a nice C2, I expected Wednesday to actually trade higher, but you can see price chopped around before Friday actually rallied, moved higher, okay, after taking out previous daily low. So we have this fair value gap, which is my first target, okay. So if price is actually going to trade higher, this is the fair value gap that we're actually looking at, okay, that price is actually going to trade back into, and you can see it's a very small move into this fair value gap, okay. Ideally, I'd want price to actually trade all the way to here, okay, because we took out major liquidity, and I'm more interested to see a deeper run into another fair value gap in premiums, in a bit premium, and this is all the way up here in premium, okay. You also see from this fair value gap over here, we have failure swings. We have this one, and we have this one creating some bit of relative equal highs, which creates some really nice inducement or liquidity just below this array, okay, making it very high probability, but definitely with confirmations, okay. So what we want to see is we'll definitely be looking for buys, but we are definitely observing this fair value gap. If the market actually disrespects this fair value gap or gets inversed, we definitely look for more. We look for more trades higher. So, okay, so if this gets disrespected, we look for trades higher all the way to target this internal range liquidity, okay. But we'll definitely be reacting to what the market does instead of trying to predict what the market will actually do, okay. So we'll be following DXY and definitely working with confluences or ideas on GU, okay. Another thing is on again, same as DXY, this is a consolidation, okay, because we are trading inside the range of Tuesday, okay. So if we want to trade lower in future, we want to see our liquidity on the sell side stay intact so that we can always attack it later. So inside of this range still, again, same thing I said on DXY, when your consolidation sweeps of anything inside the consolidation is not always important, because it is a consolidation and nothing makes sense. Most consolidations are always seek and destroy profiles, okay. But because we are trading to this internal range or potentially this previous sweep of previous daily low with this C2 was actually meaningful, because we were supposed to look for buys. The only reason we didn't take buys on GU on Friday is because it was a news day, a high impact news day, and that was NFP. And NFP, if anything, does not usually respect a lot of technicals, okay. So we stayed out, but it was always good to see our plan play out. And now we want to wait for next week so that we can trade. But definitely that will definitely matter with a lot, definitely matter what happens during the weekend, because with everything going on, again, we can wake up and our setup is gone, okay. So we wait to see if this fair value gap holds, we continue sells. If this fair value gap fails, we continue sells. If this fair value gap actually fails, we continue buys, okay. So that is what we have on GU. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame. So this is what we have on the H1, okay. And this is something that I had actually called in the group with the mentorship, the elite access members. I wanted to see the sweep of this low taken out, and then we can always target this high inside this fair value gap. Okay, so price chopped around, and that happened on Thursday, and then the market rallied higher. Okay, so this is something that we called, and now we want to see this high get attacked. Okay, so if that happens, we can always look for continuation trades. Okay, so that will definitely be determined by how the market opens, and then we can definitely look for more trades, either buys or sells with confirmations. Okay, let's look at EU. This is what we have on EU. All right, let's look at the weekly time frame. Same thing we had on GU. After taking out this high, you can see we had this really nice reaction, okay? This really nice sell momentum. And again, this daily CB, this daily BC, buy side imbalance, after it looked at first as if price was actually respecting it. I'll just try and draw it. Okay, so it looked like price was actually respecting it, okay, but then immediately I saw it being disrespected on GU. Okay, immediately I saw it being disrespected on GU. I knew that this is actually going to also be disrespected on EU. Okay, again, this low, this drawn liquidity, was very high probability that it was going to be attacked. Okay, and you can see it was taken out successfully. Again, there's nothing about this huge bearish weekly candle that actually gives us any indications that now, because we've taken out this low, we could reverse for buys. Okay, we still have more lows that could actually be targeted in future. Okay, but we can always trade the concept of external back to internal again. So looking at the daily time frame, this is what we have. After taking out this low, it is very likely that the market comes back to this fair value gap. Okay, so if you look at what the market is doing, creating lower lows and lower highs and lower lows. Okay, so if the market, after this expansion, we expect the market to retrace again so that we can continue attacking this liquidity to the south side. Okay, so last week, after taking out this liquidity, we were definitely interested in taking buys. Okay, again, reminder, consolidation. Okay, so initially, like GU, we wanted to see the low of Wednesday taken out so that we can continue, but you can see that GU was a bit stronger than EU relative strength, and the way we usually look at relative strength is through Euro GBP. So if you look at Euro GBP last week, the Euro GBP was actually selling, which means Euro was weak and pound was actually stronger. Okay, so if you want to trade both assets, Euro USD and pound USD, and you always want to look at relative strength. Okay, so buy the strongest and sell the weakest in case you're selling. Okay, so but you can see on Friday we took out previous daily low, which was Thursday, and then we continued, and then we closed with a really nice C2 candle. Okay, which provides us opportunities to actually buy. We also have another fair value gap over here. Okay, which could definitely also hold price, but then again, this is higher probability. You can definitely draw it as a chain fair value gap like that. Okay, and look at it as one fair value gap, but I'd definitely just mark the top one because this is higher probability that it holds price to continue lower. Okay, so let's look at the 1 hour. So if you look at H1 last week, like GU, I had actually called that we want to see this low taken out. Okay, to continue trading higher. But then you can see because EU was weaker, we actually took out previous daily low again. That was on Friday, and then had this change in state over here. Okay, so which is very high probability that you can take buys all the way higher. Okay, so if Monday opens, I can look for an open low, high close candle. Okay, so if the market opens and trades lower, this low is very high probability as a swing failure pattern to actually get taken out, which is something that we usually explore on the elite members, elite access group. Okay, or if we don't take out this low and reverse, come into this fair value gap at least. This low over here, I'm expecting to be actually be protected. Okay, this is also a swing failure pattern. So this will be a swing failure pattern inside of a swing failure pattern. Okay, so we expect this one again to get taken out, and then we can attack this high into this fair value gap. Okay, so in terms of risk to reward and probability, if relative strength is in our favor on EU next week, this could actually be a better trade because it offers a better risk to reward compared to GU. Okay, so let's look at gold as the last asset. Gold on weekly time frame. So this is what we had on gold on the weekly time frame. Apologize if the chart looks a bit messy. I hope you guys can still see the chart. Okay, so this is what we had. Okay, so and this is really contrary to what we were expecting next week. So based on what is going on between US, Israel, and Iran, we're actually expecting that gold will actually rally higher to take out the previous weekly high. Okay, so based on what we had seen previously, the market came down and took out the previous weekly low, which meant that this is now a swing point and potentially to rally higher to take out this all-time high. Okay, so this week what the market actually did, the market took out previous weekly high, okay, which meant that if you're actually looking for buys, that was not a very good sign. Okay, then the market went low and took out previous daily low and closed the weight dip. Okay, so there's really not much to analyze on the weekly time frame. Let's go to the daily and see what the daily has for us. So this is what we have on the daily time frame. Okay, this is what we have on the daily time frame. So from what you can see, this is how last week actually opened. So you see, after we took out previous daily low into this fair value gap, I was pretty sure that the market was actually going to rally higher and use this as an order block. Okay, use this as an order block to actually trade higher to attack the all-time high. But you can see what the market actually did. You see what the market actually did. The market sold and took out this low again into this fair value gap. Okay, now there's something about gold that I'd really not want to participate, that would won't make me not want to participate in it. Number one, if you look at this momentum that we actually sold with over here, you see in 3 daily candles, we had this really huge move to the sell side. Okay, and you can see our move up has actually been really slow. Okay, so this is not the kind of movement that I'd want. I'd actually have preferred this to be a very slow move down, and then the move up uh, should be very huge. Okay, so this looks like a retracement. Okay, and you know retracements are usually very rangy, move with a lot of consolidation. Okay, number two is, if this fair value gap was actually supposed to hold price, it was actually retested the first time. Okay, and then you can see the move higher was actually 1 2 3 4 5 daily candles. Okay, and then the move lower into this fair value gap was actually 1 daily candle. Okay, which means the momentum is actually to the sell side. Okay, if you look at the size of the candles to the sell side, they're actually bigger than the candles to the buy side. Okay, again, after this huge sell candle into this fair value gap, you can see we had 1 2 3, we still have 1 2 3 days of price action, and we've still not even come to 50% of this sell candle. Okay, so that is why I believe this daily candle might act, this daily fair value gap, bullish fair value gap, might actually fail, especially because we also left this bearish fair value gap, this CB over here. Okay, so the likely alternative is, and what I'd want to see, is that this is actually because of this momentum down, I'd want to look at this as the order block. Okay, of which we've actually come into that order block, and now that we're actually ready, and look at this as we're actually ready to continue lower and attack all these sell side that the market has actually been leaving, has actually been leaving all this time. Okay, so this is what I'd want to see. You can see we are also leaving some bit of liquidity, lessons at this point. And the only point I'd actually be confident to look for buys is if we close above this candle. Okay, close above this sell side candle. Now this becomes my order block to actually trade higher. Okay, another thing, if you also want to trade higher and you don't want to wait for candle closure above this candle high, candle body, also wait for this fair value gap to actually get disrespected and be inversed, so that we can actually trade higher. Okay, so something like this. So wait for something like that. Okay, but until that happens, I'll be looking at this previous daily high as my inducement, and the market to actually trade back into that fair value gap to take out this sell side. Okay, so that is what I'll be looking at. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame. So if you look at the 1 hour time frame, the market actually looks pretty bearish. Okay, so if you look at this, the market is creating lower lows, lower highs. Okay, and then this looks like the last lower low, and then the market is just retracing in a very rangy manner back into this PDRA, which was actually a daily fair value gap, okay, to continue lower. And you can see we also left a lot of sell side, so this extreme low will actually be my target, okay. But then again, as I said, we are actually going to be reacting and not trying to predict, okay. We are not going to be on the offense. We're not going to be trying to jump into the market, trying to predict, okay. So we're not going to be playing offense. We'll actually be playing defense, okay. So we're waiting for the market to actually show us where it wants to go, and then we'll actually react to that, okay. Otherwise, the market could also, if the market is interested in going higher, the market could also take out buy side, okay, come lower, take out sell side, and then proceed higher to take out what, buy side again, okay. So this is a double purge, and this is something the market actually does a lot, okay. So take out buy side, come take out sell side, and then move higher, okay. So this is just what I'd want to see. And you see, after the market takes out this low, it is very high probability that the market also takes out this extreme high, okay. But we need this liquidity so that we can come for this, and then after we take out this, now there's nothing standing in our way, we can come all the way for this and potentially the all-time high, okay. So thank you guys. If you enjoyed this, kindly subscribe and like. You can also share this content with your friends. Also, we'll be having a bootcamp coming soon. It can be free or it can be paid very cheaply, $30, okay. But if you want one-on-one, if you want something that is very deep in terms of information and structure, we have our mentorship going for only $100, and that is lifetime, okay, because you also get access to a lot of recorded content in Discord, and interactions with me. And if that is not something you can afford, you can join the community, okay. I send a lot of free content on YouTube, on TikTok, and on the community, on the group. So that is also, if that is something you'd be interested in, all the links will actually be in the description, okay. See you guys, and happy trading. Bye.